Hello everybody, it is Wednesday and that means it's time for our usual weekly live here in the One Step Outside Facebook group. So hoping that a few of you are going to join this week because it is quite a fun, well maybe not fun actually, topic because we're going to get a bit negative, but hopefully quite interactive and honest at least topic this evening to look at what it really takes to run your own business. And I'm very happy to be open and transparent and vulnerable, all these trendy words these days, and share, some of the darker sides that I've experienced and so on. Now I must admit, and the caveat here is that I do still love my business, so apologies if I'm not quite dark enough for you. And obviously I've been in business for quite some years now, so I've been able to iron out some of the kinks. But when you are starting out, definitely there are some challenges. So I think it's important to be aware of those and to be really clear on what that means and how we can avoid them and so on. But before getting ahead of myself, first of all, massive welcome to the new members. I've been seeing quite a few of you joining, so thank you so much. Hopefully you're in the right place. I think Cara will have reached out to you. Cara is our customer support and operations manager here at One Step Outside, and she'll be just checking in with you to make sure you're getting what you want from the group. You can ask any questions. These kinds of trainings that I do every Wednesday, I can create those, and I do create them based on the questions I get from you all here in the community. So do let us know what specifically you're looking for help with. I also shared the other day, which proved a popular post, the most active contributors here in the group, which I love. We run challenges every few months, and that tends to get us all really engaged and motivated and working through a really dynamic, fast-paced week of content. There'll be more of those to come soon too, but in the meantime, please do respond to questions, ask questions. I do polls sometimes. Jamila as well, who's also part of the One Step Out team, will be sharing the latest blog posts and podcast episodes and so on. So there are a lot of resources here. What you're getting every week is only sort of the tip of the iceberg, because you're just getting the latest, newest content, and of course there's a whole library of years worth of blog posts and so on. The podcast Reimagining Success I just started in December, so that's a bit newer, but we're already into, I think, episode 18 was it this week, so that's exciting. We're building up a bit of a library there too. So for those of you who are new, I will introduce myself. My name is Anna Lundberg. I'm the founder of One Step Outside, and I'm the host of the Reimagining Success podcast and the author of the book Leaving Your Corporate 9 to 5. And this group is really a community for all of us who are, as I call it, and as I call the podcast, reimagining success. That tends to look like questioning some of the conventional paths in life, I suppose, in terms of the 9 to 5, which of course is never 9 to 5 structure of work, maybe having been in the same job career for 10-15 years. Even personal things like, okay, now I'm this age, I must find a partner and marry and settle down and have kids and buy a house and get a mortgage and all those things. So beginning to open our eyes, get off that conveyor belt, and consider what it is we really want. So that's what I mean by redefining success, really deciding what's important to you, your values, your vision, the skills you want to use, the passions you have, the difference you want to make in the world and so on, all your personal priorities. I've talked in the past, by the way, last year, I really prioritised, I did 2 sailing courses in the year, and that's been on my bucket list for ages to get my sailing licence, and I did get it. However, I still have the theory exam to do, and so I blocked time in my calendar tomorrow. I won't be working, I'll just be working on my sailing theory. So, it's all around looking at the broader picture of success for you, not just work and money and career and so on. So as important as it is to find and create work that is meaningful to you, there are so many other things, and I really encourage you to focus on those as well. So again, the community is for those of us who are reimagining success, maybe taking those first tentative steps out of the corporate 9 to 5, but also I know a lot of you are already established, or at least early stage freelancers, entrepreneurs, business owners, however you title yourself, solopreneur, digital nomad and so on. Really varied group of experience and stages in the group, and maybe looking to take your business to the next level to really make it work for you. So in the next few weeks, well, I should say in the last few weeks, we've been looking at personal branding and content creation and so on. And now we're sort of shifting a little bit in our focus. Excuse me, my nose is itchy. So we're shifting a little bit and looking at, like I said, the reality of what it takes to run a business. And that's what I'll get into in a second. The amazing things that you can get out of running a business next week. So that's looking at more the positive side. And then very concretely getting into, okay, how do you set up your business so that you get all those wonderful things, the freedom, the flexibility, fulfillment, and things like outsourcing, delegating, getting freelancers or even establishing a team, creating systems, automating, choosing the right business model, all these things. So if you have any questions, especially if you're at the beginning of this journey, then do let me know. You can comment below here, you can post in the group, you can send me a private message, whatever you prefer. If you're getting my emails every Friday as well, you can always just hit the reply button and that'll go straight to my personal inbox. So I'll be able to respond to you directly there as well. So really this community is for you. So do please ask your questions. And again, I'll be happy to respond and create content specifically for you. So that's going to be much more practical, much more positive, and really helping you, again, those of you who are at the early stages of this, set up your business in the right way. Those of you who may be a bit further along but are still working really hard, you're not quite getting the fulfillment and the flexibility that you wanted, this could still be incredibly powerful for you. Again, maybe beginning to outsource, maybe you've been thinking of yourself as a solopreneur, or you haven't quite got the robust business model in place, you don't have your different income streams, your packages, your pricing really set up so it's going to work for you and your goals. Goals meaning financial goals, but also, being able to be location independent or only work 3 days a week and so on. So again, lots of really practical content, hopefully inspirational content coming up in the next few weeks. Now, I was hoping to get a few responses from you all in the group. So again, there is a post where I was just asking you to share the biggest challenge you have in your business. And the one I shared, by the way, was I did the little Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. Because for me, and I'll get straight into this now, one of the challenges is, well, there are many aspects to this very complex cartoon image that I shared. But one of them is that it is you running the business. There is no system or structure or routine. There's no big corporation behind you. There are no processes. There's no boss telling you what to do. There are no meetings, emails, and so on. At least when you're starting out, it's very free. And of course, that is the very reason why I and why many of you start your business, because we want that freedom. However, the fact that, and by the way, I'm also incredibly self-motivated. So I get up in the morning and I love what I do and I want to work and I'm constantly pushing myself, and that's no problem. But there is something quite scary about the fact that if I stop, everything stops in a way. And, despite the ups and downs, you just have to keep going. You're not seeing the results yet. It's going to take 3 months to see the results. Still, you have to keep showing up. You do a webinar, no one turns up. Back again next week, next month, trying again. You launch a program, you don't get as many signups as you hoped. Again, you just have to keep swimming, just keep swimming. And that is, for me, the hardest part. So again, as self-motivated and passionate as I am about everything, sometimes the reality is, even the most positive person can be a bit, I didn't quite get it and I was so excited about this and enthusiastic and I had this great idea and it didn't quite work out. Now, the amazing thing is that if you do keep swimming, ultimately you will see results. Now, obviously, we're always raising the bar, so the key is to look back and to really see how far we've come. To celebrate the achievements we've made, the wins, and I'd love for you guys to do that here in the group as well, so do please share your wins. I know a lot of you do that already, whether you got a first client or you just feel really confident or you did a great pitch, however big or small, do share those wins. So that's really important, celebrating, and again, to be honest, it's a challenge that I haven't been so good at doing in the past, but incredibly important. But again, you just have to keep going. You're not seeing results, you're tired, you want to go home, or you don't want to keep doing it, because if not, the business doesn't continue. Now, of course, there are ways in which to address that. First of all, you've built your business to be robust enough to manage some time out for yourself, for example, whether it's holiday, whether it's, a bit of a sabbatical, or even just an afternoon of lying on the couch. You might have outsourced things, got a team. So I know that, for example, Cara is scheduling things, posting, sending, and so on, even when I'm not doing it, which is amazing. And Jamila as well. So the company is sort of going on, the social media presence is continuing. There are systems and automated, whether it's email sequences or, you know, using a social scheduling tool, whatever. So there are ways to make sure that things are happening even when you're not doing it, and that's incredibly important, again, to get that freedom and flexibility. But nonetheless, it's a big challenge, I think, to keep going, keep swimming, even through the darker days when things aren't going so well. Do say hi if you join. I'm just sharing one of my my biggest challenges running a business. Now, I will, since I wrote a few of the big challenges in the blog post. If you missed that yesterday, you can always see the blog at onestepoutside.com/blog, and Jamila posted the latest one yesterday, so it comes out on Tuesdays. But I shared a few of them, and I'm going to go through a few of them now, and if we have anyone who wants to share their own challenges, then we'll look at those as well. And obviously it depends on the business, the stage you're at, and so on. But the first one I had was actually doing things you don't love doing. Because I think a challenge is that in social media, in general, when we're talking, and I certainly do this too, when I'm talking about finding your ikigai, your skills, your passion, your impact you want to make in the world, and how much you want to enjoy your business and create freedom, flexibility, fulfillment, all these things. That sounds amazing, and it's totally possible and important. We should be doing that. However much freedom, flexibility, fulfillment you create, there will always be some things you don't like doing. And first of all, it might be that you're just tired and you don't want to do anything, again, so you just have to keep swimming. Secondly, you know, it might be that you just don't like the admin. Again, you might be able to outsource some things to a virtual assistant or someone to support you, but there are always something. You know, your expenses, your accounting, again, you can get an accountant, but you still need to sort of look at those numbers and approve and make some decisions. What else? Emails, again, obviously we can cut down on those. We can even delegate those to someone if we want to, but still there'll always be some emails. Maybe you don't feel comfortable with putting yourself out there and getting on video. Terry, who's here in the group, reminded me very kindly of how awful I was on video a few years ago. And we met on a river boating trip on the Mississippi in America a few years ago. And actually one of my sort of goals coming out of that was to get better at video, or at least to do more video, which I've definitely been doing the last few years. But basically someone turned the camera on me and asked me to say something, and I just completely froze. I said one sentence and I was like, literally have nothing else to say. So yes, that might be something that you don't feel comfortable with. Melanie as well, who's here in the group, was sharing how this was something that she never felt comfortable with, and actually she worked with a coach. She really worked on this over years, and she's incredible now, very confident, and comes across really well. So, you know, if it's something that you do want to get comfortable with. And then in fact is the next point, so let's go straight into that one. It is that most things are going to be uncomfortable. Especially when you're starting out, everything's going to be new. It's such a steep learning curve. You know, certainly in my previous job, I wasn't having to get on video with people like this, doing a live. I wasn't putting my heart and soul into blog posts that I was putting out. I wasn't getting on, you know, calls with clients, trying to help them change their life essentially, or trying to sell them my program, whatever it is. So as challenging and pressured the environment maybe was in corporate, I certainly wasn't getting so uncomfortable. And to be honest, I think after 10, 15 years or more in a particular career, in a particular role, we tend to shrink back into our comfort zone. We feel like this is all we can do. We avoid things that are a bit scary, stressful, maybe, you know, big presentations or pushing for that new project or whatever it is. We know what we're doing, we're good at it, and we sort of stay in that lane. And I think that's a shame, but it's really a big contrast when you then run your own business. Because again, when you're starting especially, everything is going to be new, everything is going to be uncomfortable. And then because it grows, because it evolves, you're constantly raising the bar. So you may get comfortable with one thing, and then you start doing something else. So my blog post, for example, I started in 2013, so almost 6 years of those blog posts now. Obviously they've evolved from being very personal, insight, sort of travel-based blog, to becoming a platform for the career coaching business and so on. And I don't even think twice now about pumping out those blog posts. But at the beginning it was, oh my goodness, I'm putting this out there in the world. What will people think? Obviously hardly anyone read them at the beginning, so it didn't really matter, so that's a good thing to remember. But again, you know, after you've done the blog post saying like, hey, I'm going to do emails. Oh, how do I do emails? That's really scary. What kind of technology do I need? Last year I published my book. You know, there was a massive goal. Can seem completely far-fetched and impossible, but eventually you do it and you learn and it works and you've done it. Podcasting seems so technically complex. How on earth do I do it? What do I say? And so on. Again, I launched mine in December. I love it. It took months to sort of get out of my comfort zone and to research and to find out what equipment do I need and what software and so on. But, you know, you do get there. But again, the second point is that you're going to have to be uncomfortable quite a lot of the time. I happen to think that that is where the growth comes. If you've ever seen those diagrams where you have the comfort zone and then learning and growth and so on. So for me, it's incredible to get out of your comfort zone. But of course, you know, still a little bit sort of tentative steps at the beginning, a bit nervous, and scary tends to come with exciting, as we say. Now, the third one is swallowing your ego. And it's a bit related to the previous 2 points, really, because again, you're going to fail, and you're probably going to fail quite publicly. And when I say failure, again, I have my rose-tinted glasses on, so I don't really see failures anymore. I just see, you know, okay, well, that didn't work. I'm going to do this. I'm going to tweak that. Try this other thing. It just means I didn't quite understand the audience need, or, you know, I didn't quite have the energy to sustain this, or I should have done more of that or whatever, and then I try something else. And so I don't see them as failures anymore. However, the reality is that we do need to, you know, take a step back, put our ego aside a little bit, show up, be vulnerable, which is what this is all around, be honest, open, be ourselves, which is quite scary as well, and just show up even when, you know, maybe we're going to fall flat on our face, and that's okay, because as so many people say, and I forget this so many times, I had to remind myself, when you're starting out, of course you're a novice, you've never done it before, so you're definitely going to be a beginner, and I think it's pretty arrogant of us to think that we're going to be incredible at something when we just started. So putting that ego aside, going, you know what, I'm a beginner. Yes, you know, I've got transferable skills and I've got experience doing X, Y, Z from my previous job, but this is a new territory. What can I find out? Who can I work with to learn more? Can I listen to podcasts or go to events or do a course or find someone to guide me, a mentor, coach, whatever it is? Talk to people, practice, get better at it. But I think just sort of accepting that we are starting out a little bit as beginners can be really powerful. But again, very difficult because we have to put aside that prestige in general as well, because we're leaving behind that corporate job title, the status, the big name company. I found it quite difficult in the first months, years, maybe even after leaving Procter & Gamble, because I'm heading up the digital team in this organisation, and everyone wanted to talk to me at networking events, and they thought, you know, I could give them contracts and so on. You know, it was a massive company, and that sounded very impressive. And when you're first starting out, you're a bit sort of hesitant around sharing what you do anyways, like, oh, I kind of do coaching, or yeah, I write a bit, oh yeah, I left my job. It's very wishy-washy. Again, after time, you build confidence, you own sort of your elevator pitch, and you feel much more confident. So I can say, I'm the host of the Reimagining Success podcast, author of this book, founder of One Step Outside. I help this kind of person do this kind of thing. You know, I'd love to talk to you, etc. And that comes out, just rolls off your tongue now after years of doing this. Again, it's going to evolve, and you will then build that prestige. And to be honest, there's a different kind of prestige that comes with running your own business. A lot of people are, I don't want to say envious, but you know, they really admire that. It's courageous, they think, and they maybe wish they could do it too. Having a podcast is pretty cool. Having written a book, even though a lot of people do that now and it's relatively easy to self-publish, all these things are things that will add to your ego if that's important to you. But again, you're probably going to have to accept that you will make mistakes, and some people, probably not important people, are going to judge you and so on. So that's just something to remember. The other one, and this is I think what I started with in terms of the just keep swimming, it's keeping yourself motivated through when you're tired. I have to say today, this week, I haven't been sleeping so well, so I'm quite tired, and trying to still get up and write those blog posts and record the podcast and so on is quite tricky. Obviously, because I have the flexibility and freedom in my day, and because I've hopefully planned sort of in advance, I can then go where my energy is, so I can take a bit of a break, I can do some admin or accounting or something, even tidying the house, go for a walk, whatever, just because my energy isn't quite there. But still, to keep the company going, I do need to continue. I can't just stop. So not seeing results or feeling a bit tired, just not feeling it at all at the moment can be a bit of a challenge. Again, compared to that corporate environment or even a bigger sort of startup environment, you don't have the colleagues around you, you don't have the team who's celebrating with you, pushing you on, you don't have those, albeit awful, meetings and emails and so on, all the corporate processes, your boss telling you what to do. Again, those are the good things around having your own business, but they're also things that do provide some structure and keep you going. So generally in the team environment, if you're having a bit of a low day, you know, you've got people around you, they'll support you, they'll cheer you on, and they'll kind of pull you along. And then another time they might be tired or sad about something, and you'll then bring up the energy of the group. So we kind of balance each other out. If it is just you and if you're just working at home, that's a bit harder. Again, of course, there are ways in which you can compensate for that. So you can go to co-working spaces, you can create your own team, you can find ways to make sure that you're not just by yourself at home all the time, which can happen. But nonetheless, that just keep swimming is still, I think, one of the biggest challenges. Oh, and then the final one, and this is something I think Angela was mentioning before, is the blurred boundaries. Now, I've gone through so many different phases of this. It's really the idea of work-life balance, which, by the way, I hate. Say hello if you joined. Love to talk to you. Just wrapping up, actually, quite soon. We've gone through quite quickly. But the idea of blurred boundaries, because... And in fact, I saw someone post on Facebook just the other day. They were saying, oh, I'm addicted to my business. Who else feels the same? And I totally get that. You know, when I first started out, I was telling everyone I love my business so much, I don't mind working all the time, and that's okay maybe if you're single, if you're young and carefree and you're sort of happy to sometimes work nights and weekends and then sleep late and travel and be very sort of organic. And there are some really wonderful things around integrating work and life, really being one whole authentic person, having your values and passions represented in your business so that you can be yourself. So it sort of flows into one. You're just one person. I'm Anna. This is what I believe. This is what I love doing. And it sort of all just works. My personal life, my professional life, it all kind of blends together. That's really nice. Where it's not so good is when you don't have those clear physical or mental boundaries of, you know, now, for example, I moved into a new flat in December. We've got a study here. So I can, at the end of the day, whenever that day is ending, and now it's, you know, almost 8:30 here in the UK, you close the door, boom, go out and you do something else. So physically shutting down your computer, closing the door, turning off the lights, leaving is pretty good. Again, in a corporate job, you'd probably leave the office, you'd commute home, and then you come to a totally different environment. If you've got kids at home, you know, maybe they're running into your office and that's sort of life infiltrating in the other direction. Deliveries happening a lot when you're working from home. You know, unfortunately checking your emails and things on holidays, weekends. Very easy for work to sort of seep into every other aspect of your life. And that's, to be honest, not a good thing. As much as you might say that you're addicted to your business or you love your business, you will eventually burn out. I think it's not good for your family, it's not good for you, it's not good for the business. So trying to find a way or finding a way to set those boundaries and then stick to those boundaries, learn to say no, set up those structures and systems, that is absolutely critical. So again, as much as you might think at the beginning, I have to hustle, I have to work all the time, or maybe like me, you'll say, hi Cara, great to see you. You might be saying, you know, oh, I don't mind, I love it, I'll be working all the time and that's absolutely fine. Then just listen to me, word of the wise, bit of a red flag, I'd say, and really start setting the boundaries from the beginning. Again, it might seem like when you're starting the business, God, I have to hustle in the beginning and then I'll set the boundaries. No, believe me, if you build a business on hustle and stress, you're going to have a very successful, hustly, stressful business. So it's really important to get those foundations in place from the start and really set those boundaries, learn to say no, get the right packaging, pricing, types of clients at the beginning. If you say yes to the wrong clients and wrong projects, even if it's just temporary, what you're doing is you're basically shutting out any possibility of doing the things you actually want to be doing. So, you know, I often hear from clients, you know, oh, I said no to this and I was so nervous, and then suddenly, ta-da, my ideal client, my most perfect project, whatever it was, came along. The reason is you're saying no to the little things that aren't important, creating space for the big yes. The universe, the whatever it is you want to say, responds, and you suddenly see all these opportunities. You're free and able, energized and so on. You have the time, space and energy to work on those ideas. So again, those blurred boundaries are a bit of a warning sign for me. Again, we will be looking at some really practical tips on creating those systems and structures in the coming weeks. But again, from my experience, bit of a red flag if you find things are blurring too much, you know, maybe set some rules, even if it's really sort of pragmatic things like with your partner, with your kids, you decide that, you know, this is the time I'm definitely working, this is the time I'm definitely not. Of course, it's never going to be ideal, it's never going to be perfect, but, you know, setting some sort of rules, you know, maybe no phones at the dinner table or no emails on holiday, on Saturdays, whatever it is, Sundays could be sacred family time, whatever it might be. So those are, for what it's worth, some of the challenges I see, some of the reality. I'm happy to be, you know, even more dark and, you know, dreary around the negative aspects. So if you're watching the replay, pop any questions in. Again, if you don't feel comfortable sharing openly, not to worry, send me a private message and I'm happy to answer you directly, or I can answer anonymously as well, so the group can benefit. But you know, I think it's so important. So if you are, again, if you're still in that corporate job, either you've started your side hustle, you're thinking about doing it, or if you are further along and you're just struggling with some things, or you're maybe not quite where you want to be in terms of the freedom and flexibility that you dreamed of, do get in touch and let me know, and I'm happy to share my experience personally, as well as my 2 cents worth of how you can address that. And once again, there'll be lots of content in the next few weeks and months around really helping you deep diving on those topics: how to leverage your time better, how to scale, how to begin to outsource, how to create those systems, and so on. So I hope that wasn't too depressing. As you can see, I'm still smiling. I still love this, so it's not so bad. So if you're not put off by this, next week we are looking at all the wonderful things that can come from setting up your own business. So the freedom, the flexibility and fulfilment that I'm always talking about. So important to define what those things mean to you, because they mean one thing to me, but perhaps they mean something else to you. That's what we'll be looking at next week. So if you found this a bit depressing, don't worry. Next week we'll be looking at all the positive things. So then if you join the session again, 8 o'clock UK time here in the Facebook group on Wednesday, then we can explore some of the wonderful things, and maybe some of the more experienced people here in the group can share their really positive experiences as well. So hopefully you found that interesting, useful. Again, I'd love to answer more questions. Those are just a few of the areas that came up for me. Barely scratching the surface probably of all the ups and downs that we experience, and very happy again to give you a much bigger behind the scenes impression. So just let me know, throw any questions or concerns at me. Thank you so much, and remember, tomorrow there is the usual podcast coming, another post on Friday, weekend we have off, very nice, and then we start again next week with a more positive freedom, flexibility, fulfillment, all those wonderful F's that I've always talking about. So thanks so much for watching. Hope that was insightful for you, hope it was interesting, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye for now.